Ye- Yeah, let me pause it. Yo, what's good, everybody? Brent here. Hope everybody is having an amazing Friday. It's been a minute, been about 10 days since I've done a stream. What's up, Slaying King? How you doing, brother? Been about 10 days. Are we on still? It's weird. The viewership thing ended. But hope everybody is having an amazing Sunday. I'm sorry, Sunday, Friday. Um, it is 1:30, 1:23 where I'm at here in California. But yeah, been about 10 days since I did a stream. Been took a little bit of a break. Took a little bit of a break after the last stream I think we did with Craig and Greeny. But excited to be back. Gonna get back to the two a week schedule. Um, Today I think was a good day to do the stream. Obviously, the Trump stuff happened today, which we'll talk about. And then I think the charts and Bitcoin, ETH, everything is in an interesting place. We'll talk about that here in a second. We'll talk about a lot of good stuff. Uh, Let me go ahead and check the chat really quick before I get started. What's up, Abdul? How you doing? Dom, Dayo, Ben Jasper, Ollie, ATK Mike. Hope everybody's having a great day today. Let me know in the chat, first of all, where you're tuning in from the world, what country, and then what you've been up to. What have you been up to the last few weeks? You've been taking it easy? Have you been trading in the trenches still? I kind of want to get a gauge for what everybody else has been up to since we've done a stream last. For those of you guys that might have been tuning in for the first time, for the last year and a half, I've been doing these streams on Twitter. Um, Started with a few friends. It's changed to the different people I've had on and stuff, but been consistently streaming for about a year and a half through the multiple corrections that we've seen over the last year and a half through the AI meta, meme coins. Luckily we've caught a lot of great plays this year. Pengu USD, or last year USDUC, White Whale was a fucking huge one. A lot of great plays together on the stream. Learned a lot, and then obviously the last few months have just been just been a fucking full of turmoil. Um, just been a crazy time in the markets. Like myself, I thought, back at 81K, we were, let me go ahead and share my screen, but I thought back at 81K, that we were going to probably see at least another bounce. Let me add this up. At least another bounce, when we were back here. We did get a bounce to about 97. I thought down here we might get another one back to around at least 100, but we did fall out here. And at that point, it confirmed to a lot of people, like mostly including myself, that instead of these kind of mid-cycle corrections, we're very likely looking at more of a long-term bear market, or just like a longer term correction than these past few. And that was kind of confirmed after this 81K low, right? So after we kind of broke through 81K, my mindset kind of changed to where I thought, 70, 80% chance, that we could probably go back to all time highs from here. Once we broke that 81K low, it kind of confirmed to me that I think we are going to probably be in this kind of correction for a bit longer. We'll kind of talk about what could invalidate that and what could we could be looking at over the next few months. But for me, I think this 81, if we were to just bounced off 81K and went back above 110, 112K, that very likely could have looked like one of these corrections, one of these corrections. But I think what we're looking at now is very likely more of a 2022 type bear market. And with that being said, it doesn't mean it has to last a year. Doesn't mean it has to go down 80% on Bitcoin. In fact, I don't think that's likely at all. I think we're in a whole new world for crypto now. I think crypto has seen institutional adoption already, and it's just beginning. We're seeing regulatory clarity. We see all the regulators telling us they're going to put all markets on chain. The world's only getting more digital. Get gambling, speculation, collecting, all these different things that crypto and NFTs and stuff kind of are only becoming more popular. So I don't think that we're going to see an 80% crash on Bitcoin. 80% crash on Bitcoin came with FTX, which is the biggest fraud of all time. One of the biggest frauds of all time, with all these different um, other exchanges going down and all that stuff. We're not seeing that now. What we're seeing is um, 1010 happened, which is obviously we don't really know what happened too much. We don't know if there was an exchange that went down or what happened, but that obviously had a huge effect on the markets. And then now what we're seeing, guys, is stocks are starting to pull back or they're starting to slow down. So those two things together uh, have created this kind of move down for Bitcoin over the last few months. This kind of bigger move. But with that being said, I do think there's a possibility that even if we get a bounce here, which we'll talk about in a second, that there's a strong possibility that we will probably see another low on Bitcoin here below 60K. Probably not straight from here, but at some point. And at that point, I think that will probably be the final low that we will see. Some people think that'll happen this summer. Some people think October. Who knows? But to me, right here on the lower time frames, I'm going to go ahead and talk about right here. I put out this tweet, probably here. I'm going to tweet this out here too. Um, I put out this tweet a few days ago talking about how Bitcoin it's been consolidating. Looks like it wants one more move back down into the 62K, and if it's able to hold that low, will very likely bounce off of that low. This is just structure that we've seen time and time again at these kind of local bottoms. You'll get a double bottom consolidation, stuff like that, whatever you want to call it. And right now, as you can see here, we've been consolidating as well another 2 or 3 days. I think what this is likely to create here, guys, since we've been holding this low, is at least some type of bounce. Okay, I think what's going to happen here is Bitcoin's going to push up very likely. We got to have to kind of see what it does at 72K. If it's able to push through 72K, I think we could create a bounce back into the 70s. Who knows? We got kind of have to play it by year. But if it were to break above 81K, at that point we could take that bounce serious. And there's a small possibility again that that bounce could be the one that takes us back to all-time highs. We've seen crazier things happen before. But I'm still kind of leaning towards whatever bounce we're going to get here, probably more than likely, based on the structure, based on where everything else is at, based on where I think the stock market is at right now, which we'll go over here in a second. I think what's most likely to happen is Bitcoin probably sees a lower high and then probably rolls over one more time into later this year. So if that were to happen, really, we might get an ideal setup, at Bitcoin at 50K or 55K or whatever it may be. Obviously, that'd be come with a lot of chaos. A lot of people would probably be calling this a long-term bear market, be scared to buy. Personally, if we were to get 50K Bitcoin, I would be buying as much as I possibly can of Bitcoin and ETH. And with that being said, what I've been doing the last few months anyway is I'm literally DCAing. I have on Coinbase where I'm buying Bitcoin, ETH, a select few alts every single day or every few days, really, as I have a DCA put on to buy with my USDC that I have in Coinbase. So, really, if we were to get a bounce here and it goes to all time highs, something happens, China starts buying Bitcoin, some crazy shit happens. I'm prepared anyway. I've been buying Bitcoin and ETH for the last year anyway. Even we're up here, I have good amount of movement coins, some other alts that I really believe will survive the test of time, and I'm just really going to be adding to those over this time anyway. So, um, I would say I would put a high probability on that Bitcoin gives us some type of bounce here. If it's able to clear 72K, I think that's going to be a very good shot that it pushes back up close to 80. And if it's able to push above 80, guys, at that point, we really start to take that bounce serious. But anywhere between 80 and 97K, 95K, we could always put in a higher low that brings us back down for one more. So really, guys, I'm just taking this by year. I think in the short term, I think Bitcoin gives a bounce. I am in a long position on ETH and Sol right here. Just playing this bounce. Again, there's not much else going on. So again, I will be taking profits on the way up pretty aggressively on this long if we do get a move up. But really that's all it is, guys, is it's just accumulating DCAing right now. And just I've been playing a little bit in the trenches in some group chats I'm in, but really just taking it easy. The number one thing to do during these bear markets, and this is what people should have been focused on at least in the trenches like 6 months ago, is just being very, very picky with your plays. Luckily, we've been able to catch white whale, a few of the select plays this year. But other than that, I've been very picky and not really playing too much in the low caps. So, yeah, I think Bitcoin's going to give us this bounce here, guys. How high that is, we'll see. This is a very strong consolidation of like technically like 15 days here. So if it's able to push above 71K, I think we are going to see it take off back closer to 80. But in the meantime, I think what's likely to happen is, yeah, we just got to see it play out. And then obviously, again, if it pushed above 85K, China starts buying Bitcoin, some crazy thing comes out of nowhere, something happens in macro, that'd be a different story. But I think for now, we're looking for a bounce, and we see if that bounce is going to roll over one more time into later this year, or somehow we get some type of really strong push over 82K and get some kind of miracle or something like that. But let me go ahead and look at the chat real quick. It looks like we've had 310 people in here already at this time, which is great. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, usually if this is your first time, please let me know in the chat if this is your first time in the stream. Let me know what country you're tuning in from. Typically, throughout the last year and a half, I've been doing these streams twice a week, really Tuesdays and Fridays for the most part. Had a lot of great guests. Been doing obviously a lot more going on during the other times as far as charts, chart requests, different plays. But took about a 10-day hiatus here on the streams, but excited to be back. Going to continue the Tuesdays and Fridays streams. Have a few cool guests lined up, but either way, sorry, somebody was calling me. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the chat before I go and move on. What is up, Ben? How you doing, brother? Oils, how you doing? Zabaka, Breeze, how you doing, brother? Doing great from the Philippines here. That's awesome. Qatar, first Ramadan away from home. Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, shout out to everybody who's doing Ramadan. Dude, I can't imagine doing 30 days fasting like that. Dude, I've done a good amount of fasting this year intentionally. The 16-hour fast, a couple 24-hour fast, but a month straight. I have a lot of respect for you guys that can do that, to do that type of thing. It's actually incredible. THR says what's up? Hey Brand, what's up? Hi from Holland, trying to be in trenches. Sebastian, let me know. Yeah, you said trying to be in the trenches. I hear you. Yeah, from what I can see, there's a couple plays going off. Some of the meme coins have bounced recently, but it's still been pretty freaking slow. Yeah, getting used to these new conditions and surviving. Okay, that's what's up. Oil says here from Alberta, Canada, trenching, working, and learning every day. That's what's up. Canada, dude, I bet it's probably cold as fucking Alberta, huh? Morocco. I've not been to Morocco yet. Gracias. I'm early here. Happy Lent, Ramadan. Okay. Spain. Shout out to Spain. Ramadan Mubarak. Okay. Space Faceless. What's good, brother? How you doing? What are we thinking this illegal tariff stuff? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into the tariffs here in a second. Are you live on Twitch or Kick? No, I'm not live on Twitch and Kick. I need to be though. What up, Mike? 200 pounds horse meat. Shout out to you, brother. You're goaded. Go to TA. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody for being here. Aren't top to bottom of bear markets generally like 12 months long? Yes, horse meat makes a good point. Typically, me and myself and a lot of other people doubted the 4 year cycle, and I still to this day I still think there's a good chance that there is a chance if we do get a correction. I'm sorry, a bottom in summer sometime that we could get a all time high in 2026, which would break the 4 year cycle. The 4 year cycle essentially is like the first, Bitcoin tops out on year 4, we come down for 1 or 2 years, then we go up for another 1 or 2, and then repeat that cycle. I think there's still a pretty solid possibility that we break that 4 year cycle this year anyway, and erase that and make that new all time high this year. But if we don't, and we go into the 4-year cycle again, and we were to follow the same trajectory as the other two, yes, horse meat is right. From top to bottom of this last bear market, we topped out in November 21, bottomed out November of 2022. It's about a year, about 12 or 13 months. And then the November of 17 as well, same kind of thing, about 12 or 13 months from top to bottom. So if that were to play out again, horse meat, which again, I think we're in a different world for crypto. I don't think we are going to see the same 80% 1 year bear market. I think we're just in a different world with the ETFs. And I think if, as long as macro doesn't completely collapse and the stock market doesn't just completely shit the bed, which we will pull up the S&P 500 here in a second. Um, while I'm doing that, if you guys could like, comment, retweet, share, always appreciated. Like I said, this is the first stream back in about 10 days. So appreciated you guys sharing. Um, turn on post notification to make sure to follow, because I will be doing these streams twice a week. Seems like there's a few people out there being very consistent streaming on Twitter about crypto and stuff like that. You got Thread Guy, you got Rasmer, you got Ben Cowan, obviously, is just someone who I look up to, other great people. But it seems like a lot of people, have not a lot going on. So there's not a lot of streams and stuff like that. So I'm going to continue to do the streams. We'll talk about Bitcoin, ETH, all that good stuff, charts. But I'm going to have some cool guests on. We'll talk about some other stuff. But if there's anything that you guys would like to see, or any segments for next week or anything, please let me know. Like I said, always trying to mix it up. What I've seen from the streaming, and you guys can let me know in the chat too, is it seems like a lot of people have been talking a lot about non-crypto stuff lately, like when there hasn't been a lot to talk about, right? Like looks maxing and stuff like that. And that's kind of why I've kind of taken the last 7 or 8 to 10 days off, when there's not really been anything moving, to kind of recalibrate. I don't know if I'm really trying to be talking about like non-market stuff only and stuff like that. Definitely talk on general topics and stuff too, but it seems like a lot of people in crypto have just shifted like strictly to talking about looks maxing and a lot of different stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. That's usually how these bear markets play out. Most people leave when there's not a lot of stuff going on, not a lot of people making content, but the ones that do usually build a real nice following, make a lot of good relationships and stuff. So catch up on the chat before we go and move on to the tariff stuff. Ref Monster says market will bounce back at some point, we just don't know when. Yeah, exactly. We don't know whether somehow this could be the bottom. There's some kind of Apple announces a Bitcoin buy, or the institutions that have been loading up with crypto or whatever somehow push crypto to whatever. I typically think that the institutions, the Black Rocks, the Fidelities, all these guys um aren't building all this crypto infrastructure just to like sell it to other institutions. Eventually they're gonna push it to the public and the retail people and stuff through these products. So yeah, I have a very strong confidence that over the next few years that crypto is going to grow and to become a massive, huge asset class, and Bitcoin and ETH are going to continue to grow. And I still think there's going to be a lot of speculation. I don't think meme coins are dead. They may be called something else. I really think the movement coins, where coins are built around tokenized movements, um, some of the existing ones, obviously the SPX and MOGs, Gigas, I think will survive. But just as a category, I think those will grow. I saw a clip the other day that Thread Guy did with appreciate you for sharing that, Henry. Thread Guy did with a few guys, or we did with I forgot what the guy's name is, Hasib, and he was talking about how the trenches are going to come back. They're just probably going to be under a different name. Like they're going to be AI. There's going to be something. But I agree. I don't think the trenches or speculation is dead at all. And I do think that when Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol do bottom out this year, that we're going to see meme coins, altcoins, some altcoins stuff do bounce back, probably to stronger levels than 24 and 25 eventually. I think there's just such a strong demand for speculation and gambling through sports cards, Pokemon cards, um, sports betting, you know, gambling, casinos, poker, all these different things that I think a lot of that transitions to online, you know, speculation through on-chain trading. So I don't think any of that stuff's dead. I think homeboy Ref Monster literally put it perfectly that these kind of things, it's just going to take time, you know. FTX, everybody thought this shit was over back here in FTX days. Right here, everybody thought this shit was over. And it literally created the bottom. So I think crypto's in a way better place than it was down here, and we just got to find that bottom again. Whether it be somehow right here, anything is possible. Really watching that 82K level to really take this bounce seriously if we do get it. Um, and if we do get that, the last test, guys, and really how you know that this a bottom is a bottom is if it closes and really surpasses its previous bounce high. Like you see this bounce here, if it were to close above 98K, that kind of proves that this would not be a high or a lower high, and in fact would likely be a uh, new bottom, like a new all-time high that's probably going to be created, or at least retest the all-time high. So really 81K, and really where I would take it seriously if we somehow got back to 100K. That's where it's like, okay, maybe everybody was wrong, and we do push back to all-time highs from here. So again, I think we get a bounce in the short term. How high does that bounce go? Really want to see it clear 72K first of all. After that, 81K is a really important level. And then if it's somehow were to close above 100, that's where okay, we're very, very likely back. The way I'm playing, I'm continuing to accumulate Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, some meme coins, NFTs, which we'll talk about, and just taking it easy. Not gonna waste money or blow money on stupid shit like in the trenches or anything unless I see a very, very good play. And that's what I recommend to everybody. Continue to network, make some friends, all that different stuff, because um yeah, it's easier you think to connect and make friends right now because other people are doing are here really passionate or and are like in very likely in the same situation as you, as not much going on. So you'll find a lot of people who have a lot in common with you. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the tariff stuff. 200 horse meat, what's up, bro? You're doing well, brother. I appreciate it. I'm from Russia, first time on the stream. Dude, thanks for being here. That's awesome. What isn't it cold as hell still there? Dude, oil says negative 40 Celsius today. What is that in Fahrenheit, bro? I'm gonna ask Siri. What is negative 40 Celsius in Fahrenheit? Minus 40 degrees Celsius is minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Wait, why is negative 40 degrees Celsius negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit? It's the same thing? That's weird. Did you look it up too? Um, can you fact check that for me? That's weird. Bitcoin dominance is at 58, which is good for alts. Yeah, it's crazy to see Bitcoin dominance down like that right here. Hey, does the new 10% tariff on all countries going to affect the Bitcoin short term is going to be go below 60? We'll talk about that right after I did this. When's the giveaway? We'll do the giveaway in a bit here. There's some NFT fun lately. Yes, Space, stick around. We'll talk about that here in a second. Thread guy playing Roblox and has found his Roblox girlfriend this bear market. Is he playing that right now? That's weird. Is Thread guy even on right now? I thought he's usually on at 12:30. Interesting. Maybe he's not streaming today. Um. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, no, that's funny. Thread guy. Yeah, Thread guy's been consistent as fuck, man. He's really found his way. Yeah, we've been extreme fear so long, got to bounce back. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Do you think people have better chances on blackjack table than finding it in Moonmon? Oh man, Henry, I would say first of all that is going to be super condition based, right? Back in 24, 25, I would have given you probably a bit of a different answer because it's just so much different when conditions are good. where conditions are bad. Right now, the market is truly on hard mode. You really have to be locked in, paying attention, and catching one of the few plays. Like, luckily, I don't know how, especially during a time where I wasn't that even locked in. I don't know. We caught white whale. That was a blessing. That was like an easy 40 or 50x. But most of the time over the last 3 or 4 months, it's been very tough. You've had to like catch the one or two runners. Other than that, you've had to be very, very precise, right? You've had to get in and out very quickly, stuff like that. Uh, so I would say during bad conditions, for the average person who doesn't have people following their wallets, who doesn't have some crazy bot, who's coming in new to the market, I would say the blackjack table may give you probably does give you better odds, to be completely real with you. Like, and that's because blackjack, I don't know what the odds are on blackjack. Is it 49-51? There's a lot of variables with that, right? Like, I think roulette, like, gives you a 49%. If you're going black or red, right? You have like a 49% odds or whatever. It's baked in a little bit less odds for the player. But with meme coins, if you're not in at a precise time, and you're just chasing it, I think a lot of people have less than a 50% chance, let's say, because there's so many other variables like rugs and people trying to extracting, and the fact that most of these things don't run very well. So you have to be very, very precise. For most people, I would say blackjack probably gives them a better odds. But with that being said, like anything, people who kind of refine. Okay. Yeah. So it's like a 40% chance on each side, and then like 9% chance in variables. My producer is telling me, um, but yeah, I think, but like anything, you refine the skill, you become one of those people that are locked in and you know what to look for and all these different things. And that obviously those odds go up. But for the average person, I would say, just coming into this thing, even during good times, yeah, the odds can be stacked against you if you aren't doing things. And I would say, I always say buy and hold is the right thing. But again, it's about buying and holding in the right times too. Like buying and holding, for example, Zero Bro for, for example, Zero Bro was one of the greatest plays. I think we were streaming during that time, but either way, Zero Bro was one of the greatest plays, of the last few years. You see right here, I remember I got in around 7 or 8 million, posted in the Telegram. I'm sure we talked about it here on stream. Got in here around what 7 or 8 mil, and then that thing went on to 800 million in, you know what was that, 18, 19 days, dude. If you want to be depressed right now, just go ahead and look at the Zero Bro chart on the fucking 4 hour, on how on how quickly this thing just went up. Like you obviously, if you got in at sub 100K, you're just printing. But dude, you could have been 4 or 5 days, quote unquote, late to this thing, got in at 6 or 7 million, and you're up fucking, you hold this thing, you're up 100x in a matter of 18 or 19 days. Like that's what the bull market was in 2024. And that's kind of buying and holding in general. You're talking about Bitcoin and ETH are king. Like that's what everybody should be doing. Like that's how you build wealth, right? That's what we learned. But we're talking about meme coins and everything else. I still think buying and holding when conditions are good, also is a great strategy. But again, sometimes those times come around once or twice a year. Sometimes they don't come around in like 2025. So um, yeah, I mean we got a couple Zero Bro like plays with White Whale and a few others, but dude, other than that, it's been a yeah. I mean, this is crazy. Just looking back at this and reminiscing on this shit. Uh, what was this? Fucking 100x almost, guys. 80, 90x in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. It's where else are you going to see that shit? You know, do we go back to those days again? Let me know in the chat. Do you think we're going to go back to the days where we get 80 or 90x on a coin that already went up 10 or 20x in the last few weeks? Um, I tend to think that speculation and manias and stuff, I don't see any reason why we don't see another mania again, especially if we get some regulatory clarity. Some people think the regulatory clarity and stuff will mean that we never have one again. So I don't know. You guys let me know in the chat. I tend to think that manias and stuff will continue. And even that, I don't think we need a mania for great assets to go up again, obviously. So Anderson says, I'm bullish always. How are you doing today, Brent? I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking. Bitcoin is our digital gold and the ETH is our digital silver. Yeah. COVID crash and FTX was a worst for me. Damn. Sorry to hear that. I believe if we can get to 80K, we can really, yeah, exactly. Why are alts not pumping with low Bitcoin dominance? Because I think with low Bitcoin dominance, most of the time comes with ETH going up. But really, what's happening with Bitcoin for whatever reason, Bitcoin and ETH, is that Bitcoin's just going down or just went down more than ETH and some of these other ones, which again is the only reason. Like I said, most of the time Bitcoin dominance is going up or down. It's because ETH or some of these other alts are also going up stronger than Bitcoin. But this time it's just because Bitcoin's going down more for whatever reason. So does this mean? And I would even say that this is a slow chop down. Like I could really see Bitcoin dominance. Let's say Bitcoin does break down at some point again. Let's say Bitcoin does break down at some point again. I could see that because of so choppy it is that it just pops up here again. This is not a strong, yeah, bearish structure to me here. This is just a lot of chop. So yeah, I would not be surprised to see it bounce up here. Either way, what we really want to look at is the charts individually, and I think Bitcoin, it looks like very likely it's going to give us a bounce of something. So levels again, what I'd be watching for the first one is a move up to 71K, because it's always possible, guys, that Bitcoin gives us one of these things, right, where it bounces here like it normally does. Like 15 days of consolidation almost always equals some type of bounce, but gives us some type of bounce here. Sorry, gives us some type of bounce and then fails to break and then comes back down again. Like that's always possible. Just like a mini version of this. You see how Bitcoin came down, popped above the 100K, you know, uh, or about to 97K and then collapsed. We could see a mini version of that. I tend to think what's probably going to happen, especially if we chop here for several more days, is kind of something in the middle. I think probably something like this, where we come up 72, maybe 80. And at that point, we have to see how strong this move is, because we could always get another lower high. And that's what I'd be looking for, is for the final low here if we got it. So, yeah, I think we get a bounce. And then from there we go. Oh, oops. And then we go from there. S&P 500, I want to go over that really quickly here as well. S&P 500 is bouncing here, but it is consolidating in a consolidation that's lasted about a month and a half. So we really need to see it rocket above 7,000 here. And if it does, I think it's going to continue to go. But if for some reason it comes back up here, fails to break, and moves back down, every time it attacks this low here at 68K, 6,800, there's a chance that it breaks below. And like I said here, have here acceptance below 6,800, I think moves gives us a big reversal on the stock market. That's kind of my base case, that we will get one of those here in the next few months, which will kind of ignite that last low in crypto and where we get that last 50K low, right? But again, prepare for any scenario. My bags are already packed. If Bitcoin were to rocket up from here back to all-time highs, I'm good to go. But I will continue to take the opportunities to DCA if we get them. So yeah, and I just, if I've learned anything over the last few years, I preach this in the streams and I talk about it, but I just even been humbled this year, is that if you don't have a long term mindset, if you don't have a six month, year, like 2 year mindset, and that what matters over everything, then you're cooked, right? Like nobody knows what's going to happen over a few months. Like I think charts, I've been over a longer period of time. I've been very good at like predicting shorter term, price moves and stuff. But even myself, like charts, fundamentals, everything can align, it can seem, and then things go the opposite. You never really know what happens in the short term. But having a long term 1 2 year mindset, that's what all the winners, billionaires, all the people that I know that I've like studied and seen, they all have that kind of mindset. Everything that happens in the short term, they'll just be like, I have no fucking clue. I'm not smart enough to tell you, but I'm just gonna have a 1 2 3 5 year mindset. And I think it's the same thing with crypto, right? We can try to talk all day about what's gonna happen, um, the next few months. And I have fun doing that, and it's fun. And we've made a lot of good plays doing that. But at the end of the day, first and foremost, you got to have that long term 6 month, 1 year, 2 year mindset. And that's what's got to trump everything. That's what's got to mog everything. Um, and then, what's up? What are you going to say? Sorry. Yeah. Let me hit the comments and then we're going to go and move on to the Trump thing. What's up, Nacho, Henry? Yo, what is up? What is up, brother? How you doing? What's up, Halifax? Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in, man. Shout out to Halifax. Everybody check out my boy Halifax. He's one of my good homies in the V Friends community. Just my good friend in general. Horse Meat says, yeah, 40 negative is 40 negative 40 Fahrenheit. It's the parity point. Since the scale is in increments, it has to match up at some point. That happening. Yeah, okay. So 40 is kind of where they match up. Thanks for reposting, Rogue. I appreciate it. And I'm going to do the USDC giveaway here in a second as well. Everybody, appreciate you for tuning in. I'm prepared for another Great Depression. That's crazy, bro. Hopefully we don't get that. Just wait for the second Great Depression 2030. Yeah, maybe later on. I do think I'm not an economist, but like I do think with inflation and the debt, like they're kind of like in a tight window. We've had people on this year like Max Crypto, our guy Mike Williams, who tends to think that they'll probably transition us into like a crypto system that's maybe backed by Bitcoin and other things, and not kind of the fiat system. But yeah, I don't know. I hope we don't get a depression though. That'd be fucking gnarly. Coins Grinder says, I agree. Having a long term mindset is the key to win. Money moves from impatient to patient. Yeah, that's all it is, dude. Especially with Bitcoin and ETH. Like what you'll see is the whales, the people that have been holding for a long time, they'll take profits on the way up and then they'll accumulate, during these times. It's just that's what smart money does. But part of it is because of smart money. This is a big thing. The reason why smart money can do that is because they've prepared themselves to do that. They have a lot of money on the sidelines. They have their bills paid. They don't have a crazy lifestyle that, surpasses the amount of money that they actually make, that they have. Um, and yeah, so I don't know. Bitcoin is king, yeah, for sure. But obviously, Trump, the tariff thing happened. Tariff today, woke up today that the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that the current law used by Trump to impose global tariff is illegal. List of other laws that a U.S. president may use to reinstate tariffs. So essentially, my boy Halifax too. I'm sure he's gonna have a lot to say about this. I don't know if you're still listening, bro, uh, but yeah, the Supreme Court ruled Trump's tariff thing, everything he's done with the tariffs, illegal. Now, I haven't really read too much into it. I think the Supreme Court is that the last. That's obviously like the last. They can appeal, right? I'm assuming, but um, list of other laws that the U.S. may use to reinstate tariffs. But Trump's statutory authority to impose tariffs beyond. There's at least 5 other options if the International Emergency Economic Powers Act cannot be used. So yeah, obviously that happened. They made it illegal. A lot of people started speculating: are they going to have to give back the tariff, refund the tariff money? Some people think, oh, that would be bullish because obviously the tariff stuff created a lot of bearish movement in the stock market. Some people think it's bearish. Is it going to happen at all? I think number one, before we dive into this, I think the number one thing, whether I put out this tweet today too, like this exactly. Oops, this is exactly how I feel about it is uh whether they refund every last penny of the tariffs or none of it, like just buy fucking Bitcoin and ETH. Like that's really the obvious thing this year. And if you don't have, capital to do it, then hold on to your Bitcoin and ETH and just hold on to your great coins and just let this thing play out because most of the time they're probably not going to refund it. Trump actually after this again, oops, I guess I didn't. Let's see. Trump a few hours after this too came out and said this. Where is it? Why is it not coming up? A few hours after, why is it not coming up when I type in Trump tariffs? That's annoying. A few hours after he came out and talked about came out and said that he is putting a 10% another 10% tariff um, on another global tariff of 10% on top of what they're already doing. So Trump is doubling down. He's not bending the knee to the Supreme Court. It looks like he's again doubling down. I think overall, just like we saw the last tariff thing, I don't think this is the tariffs are what's holding down crypto. I think a lot of what's holding down crypto and what moved crypto down this year was Bitcoin obviously topping out in November of last year. Um, and then November of last year, January of last year, and then coming back down and bottoming or coming down again. But then obviously what's happening in the stock market has been kind of slowing down. We got 1010 was obviously the biggest thing for crypto, the whole thing around Binance and everything. Um, so yeah, I forgot where that was going to lead me. Trump will cease to be president one day, and that is a fact. Crypto continue. Yeah, exactly. Crypto continues on either way, and it's not just like it's going to continue. It's going to continue in a big way. I think crypto, everything's going to be tokenized, which I think is a no-brainer for something like Ethereum. I think Ethereum is, despite you see, I was on stream with Greeny and a few of these Craig, a few of these other guys last week, and they tend to think, and I totally respect the view, but they tend to think it's Bitcoin only right now. Bitcoin's the only thing that you should be accumulating long term, and then ETH, Sol, stuff like that. Maybe trade that when they've actually shown signs of going up and kind of make those like a trade. A lot of people doubt whether Ethereum's ever going to come back. And I tend to think that these markets, we've seen stock markets, metals, these things don't just move in single assets. Like crypto is going to be a bigger category than just Bitcoin. And with that being said, I think that makes Ethereum down 50% like an amazing like long-term risk to reward buy. I think all of the regulators, everybody has like bunch of the regulators, institutions have all told us that they're going to put all markets on chain. Um, and most of that's going to go on Ethereum, frankly. So I think Ethereum right now, Bitcoin, great. Bitcoin probably goes to a million someday, 500K, a million, who knows. Ethereum down 50%. All markets are going to go on chain. Digital collectibles, NFTs, all that good stuff, I think are going to go on Ethereum. And with that being said, I think ETH is just a crazy long-term buy here. Again, it could go down though. Right, it could go down to 1,600 for all I know right now. But if it were to do that, I'd be buying a bunch of ETH. That's obviously like the ideal scenario right here. Maybe a bounce here, back down into the summer or end of the year, and then big bounce to finish the year or something. Exactly. Look at the historical silver charts. But yeah, to close out the Trump thing, I think Trump is, doubling down. I think this will mostly be a nothing burger. I don't think it in the sense for markets. I don't think obviously these you could argue every time Trump tweets, it's holding down markets, all that good stuff. But I think whether Trump was doing this or not, I do think markets, uh, especially crypto, is being held down mostly by 1010 and a few other things. And I think that we're probably not going to see too much moves down on the stock market from this come next week. Where do you think Bitcoin goes from here? Yeah, we went over it a bit. I think Bitcoin lower timeframes, lower and mid timeframes are showing very likely get a bounce. I still think the bounce probably ends in a higher low some point in the next few months, or lower high, and we probably get another low, or at least a retest of this low after going up. Maybe in the low 50s, 60s, who knows what it is. And at that point, that's probably the final low if we get it. There's a lower probability chance that Bitcoin uh, bounces and goes to all-time highs from here. I put that at a 30 something percent chance. Who knows? And then the third probability, where I don't think it's very likely from here, is that Bitcoin just sinks straight from here and just busts right through this low and goes back down to 58, 60K straight from here. Usually that's not what you get when you get a low here that's been holding for, what is this? 15 days. Usually you're going to get some type of bounce, but until Bitcoin clears, until Bitcoin clears 72K, it's very possible we just chop in this range here for a bit. So I think we get a bounce in the short term, In the midterm, we got to really watch how strong that bounce is, and then long term, obviously, you guys know where I'm stand. I'm extremely bullish. I'm going to be continuing to buy all the way down here, even if Bitcoin goes down to 40K. I will be a buyer, and unless we get the Great Depression that horse meat over here was talking about, I think Bitcoin continues to the upside in the long term. Anything on XRP? XRP is a coin where I just think it's going to go up in the next bull run, right? XRP kind of has an institutional thing going about it as well. I tend to think some of these Dino alts, just like some of the Dino, just like some of these internet stocks that took 5, 6, 7 years to correct before they went up and really took off. I think XRP. I'm not a huge XRP guy with the fundamentals, but I think long term XRP probably continues to the upside and sees another all time high in the next few years. There's other things that I'd rather buy personally. I do have a bit of XRP. I did long XRP last year, did pretty well, but right now don't really have a big strong XRP position, and there's other things I'd rather buy. But if I had to guess, gun to my head, over the next 2 or 3 years, I think XRP at least makes another shot at that all time highs and probably breaks at $5 at some point. What do you think happens to Sol in the coming weeks, next month? Same thing with Bitcoin and ETH, buddy. I think probably gets a bounce here, and at that point, probably rolls over one more time if I had to guess this year. But either way, the lower time frames are bullish here. We've held this low for again, 2 weeks. So I think we get a bounce here, very likely. And if that takes us above 92, could take us back into the hundreds. But I've been accumulating mostly Bitcoin and ETH here, but yeah. S&P 500 rolls back into the 6,800 low. I think it probably sinks much lower. What do you think about Toncoin? Toncoin. I'll look at that for you right now since it's at the bottom. Oh, Ton. Belonging to Telegram. See, I think I really like what Telegram's doing. They're like the first big app that has integrated like with like their own blockchain and stuff, and I think that might be the future. So I don't know. The Ton. I'm gonna look at the chart right now, and I'm gonna assume it's absolutely fucking destroyed. As far as percentage, it's not even that fucking terrible. That's pretty. Yeah, it's down. Yeah, it's down 80%. It's pretty big correction, but I don't know. I think over the next few years, a few of these are going to come out of the ashes. Ton obviously has doing really cool things on Telegram. Telegram's a huge app that I'm going to assume is not going to go anywhere. So I don't know. If you're a big believer in the Telegram ecosystem, you think they're going to continue to, do cool things. Maybe this is a buy. I really like what they're doing, regardless if the coin goes up. They wanted to do something about AI stuff. Awesome. If you guys, I'm going to go ahead and do that giveaway here, but if you could, while I'm doing that, like, comment, retweet, especially share the stream, the actual stream tweet, that would be amazing. Again, coming back after about 10 days of streaming. So the shares and all that are always appreciated. Bitcoin Hero followed. I appreciate the follows. Shout out to Halifax, my G, for coming through. I appreciate you, man. Shout out to everybody for coming through. Again, I hope you're having a good Friday. I hope you're not too stressed out during these times. Again, I think during these times it's important to stay involved in the market. Like I always say, it's cliche. I always put out like the same message because I think it's so important to definitely don't check out. Don't be that guy that, is in the markets and when everything's hot, you're buying near the top and then you just check out when everything's whatever. And you just come back and rinse and repeat. Like that's obviously not good for your wallet. And it's just not good in general. If you really want to make crypto, you see people making good money during these, 2024 and 2025, 2023. You want to be one of those people. 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, those people that are doing that are not people that joined during during the strong times. Those are people that probably have been around multiple cycles, probably have been was like doing what they're doing now during times like this when nobody's really paying attention. So I think it's just about finding a balance. Don't drive yourself fucking crazy. I think the number one thing that I learned early on, and I think I did this more so in the first bull market, is just don't make your only identity at like a crypto, like the crypto guy. And that goes for your friends just in general. Um, because if all you're doing is, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna lock in for the next year or two, I'm only gonna do crypto, not focus on anything else, not relationships, friendships, any of that shit. And I'm just going to lock in with crypto, not doing anything else. There's a lot of people out there who thought crypto was going to continue on for another year. They thought we were going to be all fucking partying and, making a lot of money for a couple more years straight, right? And then when you make your identity that and you're so focused on that, and then that doesn't happen, I've seen time and time again, people just, especially if they lost their money and stuff, like it's really easy to get into a dark place. But um, yeah, just this time around, like it's about finding a balance of sticking around and continuing to do whatever you're doing on chain, learning, watching interviews, DCing Bitcoin, coming on streams like this with myself and other people. And then also finding hobbies outside of this stuff so you don't lose yourself and be so fucking bored for however long. So for me, that's the gym. Been planning on doing some traveling here soon. Been collecting NFTs with V friends and some other stuff. But that'd be my number one advice: is definitely lock in with crypto, but don't find some balance in your life, especially during these times. Definitely hour or two a day, lock in, watch interviews, streams like this, look at charts, trade if there's something to do. But the rest of it, like build those skills, your health, all that shit outside of it. That'd be my number one advice to anybody listening. Um, but let me go ahead and look at the comments. Let me go ahead and pick the giveaway here too. Actually, I'll go ahead and pick the giveaway in 5 minutes when we come up on the hour. Let me see here. Base. So also what's happening too is Base has the Base is just recently is breaking away from Optimism, which is the other layer two, and is going to make their own layer one, I guess. Not there. It's going to be a layer two, obviously, but um, why is it coming up? See, that's why, like V Friends is on my shit. Base Optimism. They are breaking away from Base is shifting away from Optimism, raises questions about Superchain's future. So they're open sourcing the stack. Essentially, what this is leading towards is Base launching a token as well. I think this easily makes them be able to launch the token better. And it makes more sense for that as well. So I think we'll see here. One second. Sorry. You said I'm still learning crypto. I noticed everything just going down, unfortunately. Yeah, it's last few weeks has been sideways too, but like I said a second ago, just a couple hours a day of continuing to learn and do that kind of stuff. Have you tried Based app? The Base app? Yeah. Based or Base? Base. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think right now during this time too, using some of the Base app stuff, probably a good idea to farm the airdrop there as well. So um yeah, let me look. And yeah, I'll do that giveaway here in about 3 or 4 minutes. But yeah, guys, I mean, dude, it is just absolutely night and day what's going on in the markets now versus the other, you know, even a couple months ago when that was a quote unquote slow time, right? Obviously, the trenches, pump fun. I know there is a couple plays in the Telegram. We called one yesterday. Bossman did that went 6x. So I know there's still some stuff going on if you're calling your shots and being patient. But the number one thing is if you're not that dude who's a trencher that has like fucking bunch of monitors and like you're not even the monitors. You're just locked in fucking 12 hours a day. You know exactly what to look for. You have you know, all that different stuff. I think the number one thing right now, if you can, accumulate Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, the few coins that we know are going to be around. And yeah, you might think, oh, why am I doing that? I'm going to get a fucking 2x or 3x out of Bitcoin. The thing is, you can accumulate those things that are very safe long term. And then you can shift a small percentage of that in to the other smaller stuff when it's time. That's the number one thing. It's about buying and holding the long-term stuff, the few coins that are great, and then really striking with when the iron is hot, when the other crypto stuff is doing well, the altcoins, the meme coins, all that different stuff, and buying and holding those for a few months during those few month periods. Um, so that's what I'd be doing, buying and holding ETH Bitcoin Soul, stick around, get on streams, watch these different interviews. Again, the only reason I know what I know without a finance background, dude, heck, I didn't even, I went to college for a bit, but I don't have a college degree. The reason I was able to, you know, quit my job and kind of go full time with crypto years ago, obviously been ups and downs and stuff, but kind of was um, because I went all in and watching a bunch of long form content. And this is before the streaming and like the clip the clip type world where everything was clipped and there was a bunch of reels and all that stuff. It's definitely not as easy to watch that kind of content today, but still I would implore you to do it. I would challenge you to watch long form interviews, the Bankless, the Thread guys, the some of the interviews that I'm doing on here, but like the 2 hour podcast with the guys that are having big people on. Watch those experts talking. They go over their story, different nuggets, all that. That is where the value lies, and that is a good thing to be doing right now too. I think is just be learning and absorbing as much information from people who have the results and the knowledge and the expertise that you want. That's the key, I think. So, um, that's what I'm focusing on. Again, I'm getting back more into learning again stuff, getting back to my roots, especially right now with learning and these podcasts and stuff too. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that giveaway here in 30 seconds. Base is a good chain. I like how they ship things. Yeah, I think Base is not going anywhere. That's interesting. I thought Thread guy was streaming today. I guess not. Oh, he is live. He's just not on X. I should probably sub. I should probably sub. Um, but yeah, it'd be nice if Bitcoin would move up to end the week or to start next week, and then we can get some movement. I would say the number one thing too is if you are looking to catch some of these plays, is be more paying attention when Bitcoin does bounce, because when Bitcoin does bounce, ETH does bounce, Sol bounces. Usually, you'll see some pockets where the white whales and these other coins will actually start to pop out, and you might catch some good plays. So that's another reason why you want to be paying attention, is because there will be different metas and plays. And I mean, NFTs popped off in 2021 when Bitcoin had already topped, right? Uh, it had already topped here, and then NFTs went off for one more run kind of in the end of 2021, and then everything collapsed. Meme coins with Pepe. I remember Pepe. I think somewhere around here, in 2022, 2023, Pepe kind of came out. You kind of get these pockets and sometimes big asset classes born in macro bear markets. So I would just look alive. I would expect again, if Bitcoin does give this bounce next week, be paying attention. If you're in the trenches, you're looking for some swing opportunities. They'll probably present themselves. Obviously, don't force it. Um, but there's definitely probably be some opportunities if and when the market does move up and bounces over the next couple weeks. Why haven't you started streaming on Kick too? I don't know. I need to do that, bro. I probably should. I should start streaming on Kick and Twitch. No reason not to. I'm on YouTube. Yeah, so I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Haven't I'm gonna start posting here now that we've been streaming again. Some of the clips here on some TikTok. Kind of been recalibrating the strategy that I want to do for 26 and with content in general. But yeah, definitely follow me at the top right. If you could do me a favor right now, go to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and shoot me a follow. Shoot me a DM. I'll definitely shoot you a follow back as well. But um, hell yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and do that giveaway here right now. Again, from the comments of the original stream tweet. Again, I appreciate everybody for being on here again. I just wanted to do this stream to check in with everybody, to let everybody know I'm gonna be doing the streams Tuesdays and Fridays again. Some streams will be like this when we don't have a guest and there's not a ton going on, where we're just checking in charts, just chopping it up. I want to have a place where people can go and hang out and talk about everything that's going on. Maybe maybe you have a group therapy session sometimes. But as far as it comes to the markets, no, I'm just playing. But just so we can talk about stuff, chart requests, all of that good stuff. I do plan on having some cool guests. FFV, I'm talking to him, probably have him on stream again. He's been playing, streaming, and playing the other side while he's been streaming, which I think is pretty cool. So definitely go ahead and check out his stream as well. We had a cool conversation for those of you guys remember a couple weeks ago, but maybe that was like a month ago, but definitely go ahead and check that out. I'm gonna go ahead and pick from the 100 USDC giveaway right now from the comments. Going to be completely random. Oh, all right. And the winner of the 100 USDC giveaway is. Oh, oops. Is. Let's see. Sorry, it keeps fucking freezing. The winner is Rykors at Tarikashia. Yeah, Rykors here, right here. Congratulations for being picked randomly from the comments of the stream tweet. I wanted to do a giveaway today, everybody, to hopefully give some liquidity back to at least a few of you. We'll probably do these once or twice a week. But again, turn on post notifications, turn on, make sure to follow, and shoot me a DM if there's anything you want to see on stream. If maybe you have some type of skill or something you want to talk about as well. Definitely open to interviewing cool people. That's kind of my number one thing I'm kind of focusing on during this time, is having cool conversations with cool people. I feel like been the best streams during these times. So definitely look out for more of that. Um, but with that, if Bitcoin's not moving, there's not really too much going on anymore right now. I will be back on Tuesday, February, whatever, 3 days, whatever, 4 days from now, um, for another stream. Again, turn on post notifications on X. Check me out on YouTube, TikTok, all of that good stuff. And then obviously the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel. I know a lot of you guys are already in there, but we've called some good plays in there, some good education giveaways, all that good stuff in there as well. But 3 day death cross next time. Um, but we do love when the guests are here. Yeah, I appreciate that, Henry. Definitely have on some cool people. If you have any suggestions or anybody you want to have on, definitely let me know. But with that, guys, I appreciate every single person for hanging out here with us on the stream. I know it's an interesting time. It's really easy to check out, but during these times, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on still. A lot to learn. Again, the name of the game right now is learn. Set yourself apart from everybody else. Get on streams with people who have been in the game for a while. I've been in the game for 10 years, but there's people who've been trading for 15, 20 years. Ben Cowan, a lot of great people who you can learn from and set yourself apart from everybody else when the markets do get good conditions again. Because I think that's inevitable. If you can learn these skills and you stick around and you have your Bitcoin, ETH, and Soul, and you have every the principles, core principles, kind of what you're focusing on. There will always be new opportunities I appreciate that, Halifax. Seriously, man, that really means a lot for you being here. Ben, Jasper, Creed, everybody. I appreciate everybody for being here, and I will see you on the next one on Tuesday. Appreciate you.